Yo, what's up, guys? Nico here. Hey, today I wanted to talk about being vulnerable in transition. Again, one of the reasons that I put this content out is because I want to help guide people in their path of recovery. I'm not here to do it for you, I'm not here to tell you how to do it. I do just want to share some tips and tricks and things that I've learned on my own path of recovery. And one thing that I have learned and that I have to continue to remember is that when I'm transitioning, or when I was transitioning from a very heavy active addiction lifestyle into a lifestyle of recovery and sober living, that transition right there, I was pretty vulnerable at. Now, vulnerable isn't always a bad thing, but it's something that you have to be aware of. You actually must be aware of it, especially if you're doing that type of transition. And I had to learn a little bit, I had to learn a lot about myself. But what I had to go ahead and learn is that I was more vulnerable in that stage. So, again, I want you to be the hero of your story. I want you to find success in recovery. So I'm hoping this helps you out. I'm hoping this guides you a little bit and lets you know that it's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable in this transition, but you must be aware that you are more vulnerable. It's kind of for me like those cooking shows. I don't know if you ever seen. They cook these big old wonderful cakes. They put in all this effort. They're doing all kinds of great work, designing the frosting all nice, and then they have to go and take it and present it, right? Can't lie to you, I get a little bit of a kick whenever I'm watching them carry their cake and then all of a sudden it topples over and falls. They were vulnerable in transitioning their work of art, their cake, from one spot to another, right? Same goes for you and your lifestyle when you're transitioning from active addiction over to a life of recovery. Moving this wonderful work that is yourself, because you are a wonderful human being. You do have things that you can contribute to this world that only you can contribute to this world. So in my eyes, every human being is a piece of art. That piece of art, when you're moving it from the active addiction lifestyle to a lifestyle of recovery, you're vulnerable in that transition. So one of the things that I tell you to watch out for, because it's something that I had to identify myself, is overthinking. We overthink a lot of things because we've trained our brains in such a way with the active addiction that this new way of living seems so foreign. It seems so new that you start to overthink that even little things can freak you out. Vulnerable in transition also means that you need to watch your thoughts, watch your thought processes, watch what you say, and watch what you allow inside of your brain, because those are going to be more influential during this transitional period than any other time, to be honest with you. Somebody might say or do something to you that's going to throw you off, and maybe throw you off longer than you normally would be thrown off by that same sentiment. Knowing how to go ahead and approach this vulnerability is something you're going to have to do for yourself, because we're all vulnerable in different ways. We all have different characteristics, character flaws, and usually those character flaws is where we'll see more opportunity to fail in, really. In these transitions, those character flaws can seem more predominant, you can see more out there than any other time in our life. But that's okay, because you're learning how to develop those character flaws in a new way of living, guys. This transition, it's a great one. I hope it doesn't spook you being that vulnerable, because it spooked me a few times. I don't like being vulnerable personally. I've had situations in my life where I have made myself vulnerable and it's backfired on me. Sometimes due to my own decisions, sometimes due to decisions other people have made. So I don't like being vulnerable, but it is something that I had to get over, because when I didn't like being vulnerable, I got scared, and in getting scared, I reverted back to the lifestyle that I used to live. Shooting up, drinking, all that stuff. Because in my head, it was easier just to go back than to continue forward. And I'm hoping to save you a couple of relapses or backslides by just making you aware that in your transition from an active addictive lifestyle to a recovered lifestyle, you're gonna be more vulnerable. So be prepared for it. Be ready for it. Know that, hey, if you're freaking out over something that you used to not freak out about, it might just be because you're not using the substance that you used to use, so you're having to process it differently. It might be that you're now starting to look at individuals around you and you're like, why am I spending time with these individuals? Well, because you're not influenced by drugs anymore and alcohol. So you're making, I don't want to say better decisions, but more positive decisions. You're more aware. Guys, being vulnerable in this transition is for a short period of time. Yeah, a short period might be 6 months, depending on who you are, your use, how quickly you're processing things, how quickly you analyze, adapt, and overcome. It's not a rush whatsoever, guys. Each of us has recovery in our own ways. There's multiple paths towards recovery too. That's why I wish I could just tell you guys, hey, do X, Y, and Z. I've gotten some messages and I'm just like, hey, I can't tell you how to do recovery. I can show you some tools and tips and tricks because that's what I know how to do. But recovery is different for everybody, guys. And one thing in recovery is that you are going to be vulnerable. So be prepared for it. Because at the end of the day, I want you to be successful. I want you to go ahead and get into recovery and learn the joys that come from it, because it is a joyful lifestyle. I want you to get into recovery and feel confident in your decision making, feel confident in your next steps. Because like I said earlier, each of us has something that we can bring to this world that is unique to us, a unique purpose. And that's something I truly believe. And I'm tired of seeing these unique purposes go into the grave. I'm tired of seeing people waste them, not recognize them. Because you are worth it. You are worth a recovery, and recovery is possible. But knowing that you're going to be vulnerable in a transitional phase, and it may happen over and over again because you're transitioning, and that's a good thing. That type of vulnerability is a good thing, guys. That type of vulnerability is what let me find out I don't have a halo.